Hello everyone, thanks for your loyalty to the Football Planning Show on Africanews. Happy coming your way every Monday. Right away the headlines. The CAF Champions League and two-time defending champions are on the brink of elimination. Esperance of Tunis will need to flex their muscles in the return leg after losing 3-1 at Zamalek of Cairo in the first leg of their quarterfinals. Details and results of other matches can be found in this program. CAF descends heavily on Zimbabwe. The country has been banned from playing home matches due to the poor nature of pitches in the country's stadiums. This is bad news for the Warriors, with only a few weeks to go before the next round of qualifying for the 2021 African Cup of Nations. We will speak to Zimbabwean journalist Steve Vickers about this. Nostalgic for Isayatu, with FIFA in his sights, Sepp Blatter has waded into matters arising at CAF. The former boss of world football deplores FIFA's attitude towards the continental body. Unimaginable in the Cameroonian's time, he said. More details of this shortly. Welcome to the show. And right away, we start with the CAF Champions League. The weekend saw a host of matches played with some interesting results. Esperance of Tunisia traveled to Zamalek on Friday in the quarter-final. That looked like revenge for their Super Cup defeat. And as was the case in the Super Cup, the Egyptian club once again had the better of the two-time champions, beating them 3-1. The Tunisians will therefore have to exhibit a much better performance in the return leg if they are to qualify. The summary with Cedric Solo and Elvis Bo.
We were expecting a thrilling encounter and we had it. Goals, tension and an outcome that sets the pace for an explosive return match. This duel at the top of the Champions League finals lived up to expectations, and just as they did in the Super Cup, Zamalek was cool-headed until it manifested its superiority over Esperance of Tunis. However, the two-time defending champions hit first after 27 minutes thanks to Raouf Benguit, but Mwan Chabani's side could not digest the fact that Mohamed Onajem's side equalized 4 minutes later. 1-1 was the score at half-time, but Patrice Cateron's side was on the defensive in the second half. Ashraf Benshaki put Zamalek ahead after 72 minutes, and deep into injury time, Mahmoud Alam made it 3-1 for Zamalek, scoring from the penalty spot to give the five-time champions Zamalek a vital home win. Losing 1-3 left the two-time African champions with their backs to the wall, but there was one thing that kept hope alive: an away goal. The return leg will be played in Radiz next Friday.
That away goal could indeed change everything in the return leg. Besides, it was not a good day in the CAF Champions League quarterfinals for away teams, who all lost. Starting with Tunisia's Esperance of Tunis du Sahel, who lost 2-0 in Casablanca to Wydad Casablanca. Same for Congolese club TP Mazembe, who were beaten by Raja Casablanca by the same scoreline. Egyptian giants Al Ahly defeated South Africa's Mamelodi Sundowns 2-0 in Cairo. The return legs of the quarterfinals of the CAF Champions League starts this Friday. In the first match, the long-awaited second leg between Esperance of Tunis and Zamalek of Cairo kicks off at 19 hours GMT at the Radiz Stadium. All the other matches will be played on Saturday at 13 hours GMT, with Mamelodi Sundowns hosting Al Ahly, TP Mazembe facing Raja Casablanca in Lubumbashi. The last match is scheduled for 19 hours GMT, where Esperance of Tunis du Sahel will attempt a revenge on Wydad Athletic Club. Now let's talk about the other continental competition, the CAF Confederations Cup. Matches were played on Sunday in the first round of the quarterfinals. Algeria's Hassane Agade hammered Al Nassr Benghazi on home soil. It was also a great day for Pyramids FC, who defeated Zambia's Zanaco 3-0 at home. There were no winners in the other two matches. Nigeria's Enyimba and Guinea's Horoya Club played out a 1-1 drawn game, while Al Masry and RS Berkane played out a 2-2 drawn game. Here is a quick look at the schedule for the return leg matches scheduled for Sunday. At 1 p.m. GMT, Zambia's Zanaco will play Pyramids FC. At 16 hours GMT, Horoya AC will play Enyimba. At the same time, Al Nassr Benghazi will travel to Hassane Agade. And finally, Al Masry will host RS Berkane. You probably didn't miss the news, as Zimbabwe is banned from hosting home matches by CAF. The reason, the pitches in the country stadium simply do not meet international standards. This is a serious and worrying blow for the Warriors, who are likely to play their next game in the 2021 CAF African Cup of Nations qualifiers on neutral ground. It's a rather embarrassing situation. We are discussing this issue with Zimbabwean journalist Steve Vickers. Hello, welcome, Steve Vickers. First of all, are you surprised by CAF's decision?
Well, it is a first indeed, but it wasn't a surprise as the Confederation of African Football came to Zimbabwe for an inspection back in November. They said that the National Sports Stadium in Harare was not up to standard, and they gave a temporary reprieve to Barberfield Stadium. That's in the second city of Bulawayo. But we knew that this was only temporary. In the following weeks, no work was done on the stadium, so CAF came to inspect last week. They saw that nothing had been done. So this was coming, and it's a result of the stadium authorities not taking action.
As I was saying earlier, it's not necessarily good news for the national team, a few weeks away from continuation of the qualifying rounds.
No, it's not good news at all. The Zimbabwe Football Association is yet to confirm the venue, but it's believed that the Orlando Stadium in South Africa, in Soweto, will be used for the Nations Cup qualifier against Algeria. This the home ground of Orlando Pirates. It'll cost a lot to prepare for a game outside of the country. Fans here are very disappointed that they won't be able to watch their team in action. But having said that, there are many Zimbabweans living in South Africa, so probably there will be a good crowd for the game if they do indeed play in Soweto. But the money that will be spent to prepare for this game could have been used to renovate the stadiums. And there's also an under-20 Women's World Cup qualifier to be played at the end of this month, so that'll also have to be played outside the country, and it adds to the expense. And all this at a time when Zimbabwe's economy is in very bad shape and there's a foreign currency crisis.
Precisely. Does the Federation have the means to renovate the stadiums quickly in view of the difficult economic situation in the country?
Well, the stadiums don't belong to the Zimbabwe Football Association. The National Sports Stadium is run by government and the others by the city councils. So the Zimbabwe FA has to persuade the stadium authorities to take action. Government has now said that it will begin fixing the National Sports Stadium soon. They know now that this is a very serious situation, an embarrassing one, but I don't think work will be done in time for the upcoming games.
And lastly, Steve, generally speaking, how do you see this decision by CAF?
Well, the thing is that there's no doubt that Zimbabwe stadiums are not up to international standards. The stadiums have deteriorated over the years. But people here see this as being unfair because definitely they're not the worst stadiums in Africa. If you look at other countries and were to apply the same standards, other countries would have the same ban applied to them. Normally, you're only forced to play your home matches outside of your country if you're in a war zone, countries like Syria, Libya or Somalia, for example. And people here are not happy at all that it's come to this.
Thanks a lot, Steve, and see you soon. That was Zimbabwean journalist and commentator Steve Vickers, who works for SuperSport. It's an open secret that FIFA's attitude towards CAF is not to everyone's taste, and especially not for Sepp Blatter. The former boss of world football does not appreciate what many consider to be FIFA's interference in the affairs of the continental body. This would have been unthinkable under Issa Hayatu's era. Details of this story by Serge Manku Nkombo and Claudia Insono.
When Ahmad was elected CAF president on June 16, 2017, he was hailed by his supporters for putting an end to Issa Hayatu's 28-year stay at the head of the Confederation of African Football. But 3 years later, the Malagasy has received tons of criticism for his governance, including from former FIFA president Sepp Blatter. Speaking to Nigerian editor Osasu Obayowana, Blatter said it would have been impossible for FIFA to take over the running of CAF had it been headed by Issa Hayatu. In his defense, the Swiss said the Cameroonian was not just a boss, but a no-nonsense leader with strong personality. Ahmad is yet to react to Blatter's unprecedented comparison. In the meantime, the Ahmad era has been marked by suspicions of embezzlement and mismanagement. But the Malagasy national has promised to continue structural reforms geared towards bettering football on the African continent. Although FIFA has ended its 6-month management takeover of CAF, the future of the game on the continent is still clouded with uncertainty. In June 2019, the World Football Governing Body effectively took over the management of CAF following allegations of corruption and general implosion.
Let's just hope that the structural reforms will help to turn the continent's football around and, above all, change the way CAF has been viewed since Ahmad took over as CAF boss. Let's take a little tour of Europe now. Liverpool's hope of going unbeaten in the Premier League is over. The Reds finally fell heavily on Saturday to Watford. Sadio Mane and his teammates were swept aside 3-0, and their unexpected executioner was Senegal's Ismaïla Sarr, who scored a brace and provided an assist. It was the first defeat of the season for Jurgen Klopp's men, and it ended an incredible run of 44 games without defeat and 18 consecutive wins in the Premier League, luckily without any negative consequences for the Reds. And finally, in Spain, it was Clásico on Sunday, the world's biggest showdown between Real Madrid and Barcelona. It was a superb victory for Madrid against a Barcelona side who were completely outclassed. Vinicius Jr. and Mariano Diaz were the scorers. It was Real Madrid's first victory at home in La Liga since 2014, and above all, regained the league lead with a point advantage over their old rivals. This is the end of today's show. Thanks to the technical and production teams who helped make this possible. For more news, visit Africanews.com. Have an excellent week. Goodbye.
Au revoir.